Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Footy Banter and Insights. Today, apart from the core group of Manan and Varun, we have two very special panelists with us. We've got Rishi and we've got Rishabh. Rishi is a huge Man United fan and he is one of the best FPL players that I have witnessed. I think his knowledge about stats, his knowledge about players is supreme. And Rishabh, he is one of the biggest City fans that I have met. And he follows the City games very diligently and he has an insight which I think everyone will love to hear. So let's begin with our Game Week 14 review. We'll open the floor to Rishi first. Rishi, what were your thoughts on the entire game week thus far?
Right. So about this game week, right? With I think couple of games to go tonight. Probably I'll speak about the first day where I did not. There were two matches. One was Ipswich versus Crystal Palace, and the other one was Leicester versus West Ham. So I saw the former, like some parts of it at the very least, if not the entire match. So what I have seen overall in general, like as a promoted team, Ipswich has been doing like quite well in the last few seasons. We have seen all the promoted teams and how badly they have been performing, not being up to Premier League standards, getting battered day in and day out by all the different teams. So even though Ipswich records a lot of losses, but overall as a team, right, its defensive capability in a lot of games, if not all, and even its ability to turn around games, come up with comebacks has been stellar. One good thing about Ipswich, which I have seen, is that. It's striker Dilap. He's like a really good player. He has good physicality, good strength. He's always on the top end of crosses and corners and even passes. So he seems to be the standout player for me most of the times. And other than that, the second standout player, or probably the first standout player in the team, is Leaf Davis. So people, most of our FPL managers, they seem to focus a lot on stats. Maybe before the preseason, people were excited which defender should we pick, the defender that will be attacking enough and everything. So if you observe the stats of Leaf Davis every single game, he is like one heck of a machine, delivering in crosses, setting up opportunities, having good expected assists and whatnot, like really good goal involvements. However, he hasn't been lucky enough to have that entire combination of goal plus clean sheet, which apparently Timber had yesterday. And as a United fan, I'm kind of unhappy, not just because my team lost, but also because I did not have him in my team. So in that game, Ipswich lost to Crystal Palace, and what we saw in that game is which is Crystal Man's talisman, was back to the team, and he was as relentless as ever. So the thing with Eze, right? People might have seen that this season he was hyped to be the main man after Mateta
He's
almost informed him that he.
Olis.
Sorry.
Olis left.
Olis,
After
Olis.
Olis left.
Yeah. Sorry. So Mateta was also about to leave, or he was saying that he wants to go in for for a club that's competing for Champions League and whatnot. And now we see he's not performing, and yeah, that's where the ego of the players take it. But that's a different discussion altogether. But definitely, Eze coming back made a lot of difference. And the part which I liked a lot about the game from Crystal Palace side is how Eze was dropping back to defend, and him being a box of tricks and like having really good dribbling at times. I could see him in the middle of three or four attackers pressing him really bad, and him still clearing out a defense. So I think that's a very common thing in football. I think even probably Rishabh would attest to it, that when we are playing in defense, a lot of times we have to take those risks. Our teammates are shouting, "Oh, kick the ball out, do this, do that," but we want to do a cheeky trick or two, and that actually sets up the game. So that's how most of the counters were ongoing, Crystal Palace side, and yeah, they were kind of lucky to keep a clean sheet. So that's about this the game. And talking about games yesterday, so I was
Yeah, I'll just take a
yeah,
moment. So,
sorry.
Rishabh, on the subject of Ipswich and Delap, what were your thoughts when Delap actually left for Ipswich?
So first of all, thank you for inviting me on this podcast. It's a good. It gives me a good privilege. I think from a striker's point of view, I mean, Delap had a couple of loan seasons at Hull, and he did really well. But again, as per the you need to, as all the clubs need to follow the financial fair play, as the PSR, the profit and sustainability rules, they had to sell off. I mean, the worst sale that we could have done was last season when we sold Cole Palmer. But getting 20 million with a buyback clause of about 30 million for Delap going to Ipswich, and he's trying to prove it in the Premier League. I think he's got about 6 goals, and for a 21 or a 20-year-old striker to play there and perform at that level, I think gives a lot of confidence. And the City management would also think we might have a second striker, considering that we sold Julian Alvarez. I think if he could have, now in the January window, if he can get some money, get the buyback clause released from Ipswich, I think it could be a very decent buy. And if not, he's anyway just performing well. As a promoted team, getting 6 goals in a promoted team is not very easy. So he's performing out of his depths, and I wish him all the best if he does very really well and he comes back.
I think there's a big possibility of that happening. I think many clubs in the Premier League are now linked to them. There's a talk of the buyback being activated as well, right?
Yeah, the buyback it's very sounds like change money, but 30 million for a 22-year-old, and he's performed and he's proven. Only it's one season, as they say, but one season and then 10 15 goals will be cheap change. So hoping that he really, if City understands that, considering the number of injuries we've got, I think we might take him back.
Great.
But if you're Delap, would you want to go back to City? Like, you'll be number 2 and Haaland's going to start pretty much every game, and this stunts your progress.
See, I think fair question. I think working under Pep is a dream for most of the players. I don't think any player would say no to that. However, getting a starting role in a promoted team is also very lucrative. So I think I think you need to mix and match that balance, where learning from Pep but getting the right amount of minutes. Like, he could start the FA Cup, he could probably play the smaller fixtures where Haaland could be rested. Start with the last 3 Champions League fixtures seem to be a little easier. So he could probably get a chance of 10-15 minutes there. So you never know. You never know if he wants to come back, but it's a very tough situation for him, considering that he gets to work with Pep, but also starts as a second striker. So it's a call that he needs to understand. If he comes back, good, but if he wants to play at Ipswich, I think he's well within his rights to choose that as well.
So I was saying that, like, since you're on the topic of City, right, and again, like, not to lengthen the discussion, but like the sale of Alvarez probably impacted you guys a lot. So last season, when in earlier game weeks, KDB was injured, and even like Foden wasn't there sometimes. I think he was there for the majority, but for some part of it, he wasn't there. He was playing a very key role. He was able to play as a striker, as a second striker, even as a CAM, providing those deep passes. Recently, after, like, when since the time KDB hasn't been playing, and we have been seeing Man City going through a very difficult time, not being able to score goals, or like back-to-back losses. And I'm glad that that changed yesterday, because we were, even though I'm a United fan, I was happy for City to come back to its original winning ways, because we like to see what's there as usual, right? So what I saw in all of these City games, right, definitely people always like to say that it's the lack of Rodri. Yeah, that's true. But it's like underwhelming performances from a lot of people, even the wingers being inconsistent, Savino and all being there. But one man which I think City might miss a lot is Julian Alvarez, and those ground-breaking passes, right? The ones which KDB give, and we know with KDB, Pep sometimes even likes to save him for the second half of the season, where the pressure is paramount, and they feel like they can just like wave through the first half of the season and then introduce KDB later, even if he is injured or not injured or whatever. This time he was genuinely injured. So with Matthias Nunes, Kovacic, Gundogan, with Gundogan we have been seeing the tired legs, unfortunately, even though he has been a class player. Kovacic has been good, right? But the ability to feed in those ground-breaking passes, right? It has always been that now City had been depending on just one person like Foden, or probably now KDB, since he was back yesterday and he performed, right? But you can't always depend on one man, and the person who's suffering because of this and because of the system which Pep has established is Haaland. So what I feel is that there needs to be someone like a second striker or CM who's able to provide those ground through breaking passes to Haaland to feed him, because the kind of gameplay Haaland had back in Dortmund, he is not emulating that right now because of the system Pep proposes. So for Ollie Delap, right, for him to come back and even, let's say, play second string to Haaland, whether he'll be able to adapt to the system or not, whether he wants to adapt to the system or not, is also a big thing. Because what I feel is that if you want to score goals as a striker, sure, that's like the primary objective. But like as a all-round striker, right? Probably playing at City might not be, something which every youth talent might look out for an opportunity. Biggest club, sure, but like for an all-round game, probably him playing elsewhere might do him a great lot of good rather than sticking to a system. He'll score goals, sure, but that's not probably what might improve his abilities as a footballer in the long run.
So what we'll do, Rishi, I think fair point regarding Alvarez for sure. Because I think at the beginning of our journey as a podcast, I think we had discussed this point in great detail. I think City may be a little weaker this season because of the, let's say, the move of Alvarez to Atletico Madrid. And I think we are seeing the results right now. But what we'll do is we'll go to the next game and we'll go to the big game because we've got three fans here from Arsenal and Man United. So, what were your thoughts on the game, guys? I think let's start with Manan and Varun because they've been awfully quiet till now.
The difference, I mean, you can see that the difference in evolution, like the cycle of evolution for both teams. As a United fan, I'm happy that there were only 2 goals, and the 2 goals were from set pieces. And actually, a lot of like pretty much every corner was dangerous for United. Like it was not easy to defend set pieces, which we know against this Arsenal team. But otherwise, there was no real there were no real chances that were given to Arsenal. So that is a positive. So overall, I would say it's a positive for United despite the result. And yeah, I mean, I saw this one meme or one video that Varun shared where Maguire is trying to sort of use his arms to block like 5 different Arsenal players, and they just go around him. I don't know if it is a real clip or some AI generated clip, but if that's if that's a real clip, then of course it's a bit embarrassing. But yeah, I expect that Maguire won't be there next season. There would be a bit of a churn, and overall it was still a progress. Like it was a plus for me despite the result.
For me, from an Arsenal perspective, I was a little concerned given that the complete left side of the defense was new in the game. So we had Kivior and Zinchenko on the left against United. And that was kind of a worrying part for me at the beginning of the game because Kivior is, I think, a big downgrade from Gabriel, and I think Zinchenko is also not that solid when it comes to his defensive acumen. So I think I was a bit worried about that, and then you could see in the first half as well, right? Like I think Arsenal was playing with a handbrake. They were playing in second gear or something, and they were quite conscious of United kind of hitting you on counter or kind of exposing that weakness on the left hand side. And as Manan said rightly, that Arsenal actually didn't create much in the first half. Like literally, like hardly any good opportunities from the open play. But I think I think the set piece coach is doing a great job for this attacking corners. And like Gabriel, who was missing yesterday, has been our go-to player when it comes to these corners. And he was missing yesterday, and we didn't feel it, kind of a thing, right? Timber did really well. Partey had a great chance in the first half from the corner as well, which was like he should have kind of scored in the first half itself. And I think the routine is they actually work the routine really well, where they actually stand on the back post and all the defenders are actually facing away from you, right? They are facing towards the corner. So they don't know how the players are coming from behind you. And that kind of provides an advantage to the attacking players. So I think they have worked it quite well, and kind of they've mastered this kind of a routine. And it's kind of paying rich dividends. But I think even in the second half, the open play attack was a little lacking. And I think Arteta needs to find a solution to this. The one good thing I really liked was, someone like Kivior actually getting a clean sheet. I think he was a little low on confidence, but I think yesterday's game would actually do him like a world of good. So, because we need all of these backup players also in form, right? Just in case you need them to fill in for like couple of games or like couple of weeks. So I think Kivior actually did well yesterday, much to my surprise.
I have a couple of questions. One for Arsenal, one for United. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, yeah.
Please go for it, buddy.
So Manan, first thing for you, a new coach, same old players. What what is up with Luke Shaw? I think that's the main question. I think he plays. I think he trains. I think once he trains, he gets injured. So if you can share a light, and what are the players that you want to get rid out of the squad is one question for you.
So, of course, I don't know Luke Shaw personally, so I cannot really make a very concrete comment on that. I guess, like some people, their physiology is such that they are very prone to injuries. And Luke Shaw perhaps is one of those people. And I feel like just from the outside, I feel that whenever he gets injured, he puts on a lot of weight. And then once he sort of gains fitness, and then to gain the match fitness, he has to lose that weight, and that perhaps like makes him go harder than he should, or he perhaps like is should be permitted to at that stage. And I mean, it's just like, you know, just talking out of thin air, all of these things. But yeah, so I don't know about exactly about that, but of course I know that different people have different physiologies, and Luke Shaw somehow is very injury prone. So
I think he
that
has a
is
very
one.
similar personality to Reece James, though. They may share the same physio for sure.
Yeah. It's like that taxes and Reece James now slash Luke Shaw, them being injured. Like that's like
Unfortunately, yes.
yeah.
So that's one. And in terms of the players that I would like to be transferred out, I think uh, so. I've been talking about this, that there are some fit issues with the system that the new manager is trying to play with, and a lot of players would need to adapt, especially our wingers, which we had quite a few of, and now they either need to adapt to play as a wingback or as a inside forward, or like a sort of semi number 10 kind of a thing, right? Like they are not playing behind the striker, but they are sort of right and left of the striker. So they need to adapt. Uh, Out of the squad, clearly, like despite any adaptation, some people that would need to go. I think Harry Maguire is one for sure. Um, I think he's outlived his time at United. Initially, he was good when he was under Solskjaer for a couple of seasons. He was made captain also, but after that, his performances have not been up to the mark. So Maguire is definitely one. Like I want to say Mason Mount, but I would like to see him get a proper run of games with full fitness and then assess him. Casemiro, I think, needs to go now. Um, and somehow I don't really like what Ugarte has done yet. So, but again, it's very new. Like he's very new to the league, to the club. Playing at United is unlike playing at any other club, perhaps to the exception of like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. So maybe it takes that much time to adjust. And traditionally, a lot of players used to take one season to settle in at United. Um, Recently, we've seen an example of Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool. He took a season to settle in, and now he's been very good. So I want to give him that opportunity. But yeah, these sort of two players from the top of my head, Harry Maguire and Casemiro, I would not be sad if they leave.
Anthony.
Lovely.
Anthony, yes, I forgot about him.
I was surprised.
Yeah. I forgot
That's an
about him.
afterthought. That's an afterthought. That there's a list that needs to go out, and there's a list that we might sell him off. So Anthony's in the first list, and the other ones are in the second.
I think the
Yeah, I
Anthony
completely
list
forgot about
starts
that.
with it's not even in the list. It's one of the
Yeah.
players that one has forgotten about completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Anthony is just such a victim of the price tag. If he were a 30-40 million player, people would not be on his back so much. But because he is a 90 million player, he just represents a lot of the bad things of the previous era. And it's just like a stick to beat him up with, unfortunately. And I mean, he's not really done too much on the pitch anyway. But yeah, he too needs to, like, for him, he needs a fresh start. Like, forget about United. Also, as a player, I think he would. It would be better if he gets a fresh start, and perhaps he can reignite his career.
Manan, on the subject of Mount and Ugarte, so with Mount, I think Amorim has come out and said that he really loves this kind of player. I think he
Yeah,
suits
but I
well
mean,
in his
Eric Ten
style.
Hag also used to say that, right? So you can't really, I mean, take a manager on like face value. Like we need to see it on the pitch.
But he is
And
but he is only one of the two players that they have that can play behind the striker, right? As an inside 10 or whatever, right?
yeah,
Like, so
He
he
can,
has to
yeah,
come
he
out
can
and say
play
that,
those.
right?
yeah.
So,
But you
and
know
और
what?
और कोई option नहीं है फिलहाल, basically.
And,
But
and
Like,
plus,
There's
Ugarte played in Sporting under Amorim, right? So I think for a
Yes.
couple of seasons he's played. So I think that also makes a lot of difference when you have a midfielder who's played the system. That also makes a lot of difference.
also the
Yeah,
thing with Mount is that definitely at that time people were kind of Manu fans were actually being happy that, oh, it's good that we did not get Havertz and we got Mount instead. And in reality, even though let's say Havertz wasn't performing in his first season in the earlier games and later he started performing, and Arteta used to make a huge scene about it that I will. He used to make even jokes. I don't know that I'll make him play here, that so that he starts performing and all. But like the injury proneness is also a very big factor, and like Mount, he just keeps on getting injured, and when the team actually needs him, he's not there. Whatever preseason games I've seen him playing, right, definitely he had a lot of potential when he was playing at Chelsea also. But Chelsea fans know the best that like what kind of a scam it is at the end of the day, like when the player actually starts frustrating you, right? So for me,
our resident Chelsea pundit doesn't think it's a scam. I should warn
So
you.
I'll tell you, Rishi, why this is funny. No, I'll tell you why this is funny
Rishi, why do
because
you think I'm laughing so much?
no. So just listen for this entire breakdown. So there's a Chelsea fan, which is me. I honestly loved Mount. He was like a kid from the
ले ले
academy,
भाई
joined at
60
the age of
मिलियन वापस
8. पूरा सुन ले. So a kid from the academy joined at the age of 8, went through his ranks, went on loan, came back, became a star, provided the pass which won us the Champions League final. Havertz was the big signing under Lampard. Again, took time to settle in. Wasn't his best, to be honest, but again, scored us a goal that won us the Champions League final. I was really disappointed to see both of them leave. Varun never wanted Havertz. Manan, I don't know if he wanted Mount at that point or no. I don't know. So I was upset that both of our star
Not for
players are
60
going
million.
to rival clubs. Yeah. And now Varun still hates Havertz, but over a period of time, I think he's become adaptable. Ki at least, chalo, he's giving him time. And Manan has gone the reverse way now. I think starting from midway, now he's gone backwards.
I mean, the player has not done anything, right? Like, I would like for him to get a run of games, like 10, 15 games, where he builds up the match fitness, builds up some confidence, builds chemistry with his teammates, right? I would really love for that. But I mean, if this continues for another 6, 8 months, then you don't want him to be there.
right, and since like I just wanted to mention about the player thing which Risha was asking Manan. So like Anthony is first to go for me. Second would be Casemiro, and like for obvious reasons, what kind of pressing system right now Manchester United has to play, and even before when Ten Hag was there, right, he's not really dependable. He's a very good player when he has a good like high work rate box to box midfielder covering him overall in general, and like taking like almost 80% of his responsibilities. So at that time he's good, otherwise he's quite a liability. And probably I think Manan said, like maybe we can give Mount time, but I just feel that like I don't want it to be that we keep on forcibly playing him all the time. And probably not selling, but players I don't want in the squad right now, even though it might sound a bit controversial, is Rashford. Sure, he scored in a couple of goals and even a goal before that. But the thing with Rashford is that he kind of doesn't have the, when he's deployed as a left winger or playing on the wings or whatsoever, he doesn't have the capability to track back. He doesn't do his part of the responsibilities. We have seen a wonderful transformation of Ahmad under Amorim, and you can see him even when it's like post 60, 70 minutes running at the top of his speed. In the last game, it was his two interceptions, which ended up leading to two goals. We don't see that happening from Rashford, and when it's a big game, yeah, sure, he has performed in a lot of big games also, but nowadays when we require consistency, right, we don't have that kind of a game coming in from Rashford, him cutting in through wingers, him using his pace. He's one of the people who is supposed to have like really explosive pace, but we don't see him abusing it often, something of sort. So what I feel is that we should have had signed a better winger or something of sorts. We did end up signing Zirkzee as a striker, and again, even though Zirkzee scored two goals, and yeah, we should give him time to settle. He's young and everything of sorts, but I don't feel that he is of you can say caliber right now at Manchester United to start games, given how our team is. Haaland plays really good, so I don't have complaints about that. But yeah, Rashford is like one of the players I would like of the team sheet. It's always an on and off season for Rashford. He's like really great one season, and then like he's really off one season. So yeah, just that.
Rishi, I think Varun is going to adopt you because he would possibly mimic exactly the same thing that you said, right?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with him, right? Like, if I were a United fan, Rashford would be the first player off after Anthony. So, and
Yeah,
I felt the same thing when Emery joined Arsenal, right? And I felt the same thing about Ozil, right? At some point, you have to think not from a player, like an individual player perspective, but for the entire team as a whole. The player might be a superstar, but if he's not functioning for the team and the team is not playing well with you in it, you'll have to kind of get rid of it. So,
But Ozil was different because like the team was playing well with him, you know.
no.
So like my comparison with Ozil would be Bruno, and like you guys know, a couple of y'all know that
Team wasn't playing well with
I
Ozil.
feel. I mean,
You know,
come on, man.
there was a period where the pundits in the UK, when Ozil used to play in the bigger games,
Mhm.
they used to say that Arsenal are a 10-man team because Ozil never used to track back. And
Yeah.
I mean, irrespective of the, and you can't compare Ozil and Bruno. Bruno kind of gives you everything. I think
No.
he's
It's not
he's
about
not.
like tracking back or anything. What I'm saying is like
just
the
just one second,
style of
guys.
play
Rishi,
that
Rishi, Rishi, can you just mute your हाँ तेरे यहाँ पे थोड़ा disturbance है वो देख ले बस हाँ.
the style of play that United want, which is like controlled possession play, doesn't suit Bruno. That is my problem. Like he is a player who needs to be free and who needs to just like just pass whenever he wants to without like having a very fixed structure. And he reverts to that. Like I saw the game against Everton, and he started with like when he was trying to be safe, trying to sort of keep the ball and everything. And as soon as Everton started putting pressure on us, he would get the ball and he would like start making first time passes, long passes to the forwards to run into. And Bruno makes a lot of great passes, but he also loses the ball a lot. So for a possession based system, he doesn't fit. I love Bruno. Like I genuinely love him. He's been the best player for us for the past 3 or 4 years. But for the system that we want to implement, he may not be the best player. That's what I'm saying. And I think it's similar with Ozil. Like he will not press. So if you want a pressing system, then he's not great. But he's going to create a ton of chances wherever or however he's going to play. It's just that you have to make the team around him. And if you don't want to do that, you have to let him go. Otherwise, he'll make the team look weaker than it should.
More than that, Manan, it's all about the consistency of the player, correct? And that is the most important thing. Consistency, discipline, and the fact that you are giving your 100% best at the on the pitch, right? And I think that's where Ozil lagged a lot, and I think that's where Rashford lacks a lot, and I think that's where the comparison comes from. It's basically your commitment, your desire, your intensity, your work rate, and given the fact that you are the best player on the pitch, you need to actually lead the team by example, and none of these two players actually do that. So that is where my comparison actually stemmed from. So, and given the fact that he's a star player, right? So you cannot, as a setup, as a coach or as a sporting director, you cannot come under the pressure of the as under the pressure of the star power of the player. You need to remove a bad apple. You have to do that. You cannot kind of keep the bad apple. It will ruin the other apples as well. So that's my take on Rashford. Like I would as Yubi said, I would completely agree with Rishi on the Rashford point. So yeah.
Every season for United, it feels like a massive clear out. They buy players, and then there's again a massive clear out at the end of the next season, or at the end of the season. Like they've bought, I think, 4 5 players. Now I think they need to get rid of, I think, the 2 or 3 players that they've gotten, like Zirkzee. I think Dillit also doesn't work in the system. That's what I've heard because he's pretty slow. And what Amorim wants is a fast defender. It feels like a massive clear out every season. Uh, it needs to change. Like now, I think they've got a settled coach. I think those sort of changes will happen now in the coming January window and the summer window as well.
So the clear out actually, like, it started happening last season, like the last summer, and then this summer it happened a bit. But of course, there's still a lot of deadwood that still needs to go from the previous 3 or 4 managers. Uh, this season signings, I think, were pretty sound overall in terms of logic. Uh, they haven't, of course, manifested into performances by the players yet, but like I don't think any of the players that we purchased this season is a clear sort of sell now kind of a player at this stage. There are rumors linking Zirkzee out for sure, but like the profile of striker that he is, like he can actually bring fast wingers into the game much better than Hoyland can. Like he's a guy who's going to sort of drop deep and play like a false nine kind of a role where he brings others into play and he'll just like thread passes here and there first time to allow the fast wingers to run. So it might actually work out well, but again, it depends on chemistry. I think he needs to get fitter for sure. He looks very heavy while he's on the pitch, like not perhaps weight wise, but just like movement wise, his movements are very heavy. So a lot of things need to work out, but I don't think it's been like a bad summer of signings for United overall.
So
But
one
with Ten
name
Hag, you
that
might have
became-
seen the bias when it comes to recruitment. Like we had really, really, really bad recruitment, and you might have seen some of the staff also leaving before the season started this time, and all these signings, like big money signings, which United could have done, should guesswork, and even got Anthony for 40 million. But no, we decided to pay 90 million for a fraud player. So the thing is that all these Dutch-related signings only because it's very surprising that no one from the management or the directors voiced their opinion that okay, it seems that the manager is very skewed towards his signing, and this might end up creating a problem because at the end of the day, every club only has so much money to put in and buy new players. So we ended up purchasing all the wrong players, and it's also about the club and everything. We have seen like when it comes to managers from a lot of clubs, like hiring and firing and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to players, right, it has been very rare that clubs, when they purchase new players, they let them go very quickly, like within a season or just after one season. They tend to say at least for 1.5 to 2 seasons. Like Van der Beek might be one of the examples, right? We wanted him, like people wanted him out for such a long time, but it took at least 2 years. So that's the thing. So I think next season we'll see all of these Deadwood players going out. Overall, probably more prolific signings. So let's hope for that. But yeah, again, not happy exactly with Zirkzee and Ugarte, but I hope they'll improve with time and they'll adapt to the system under a good coach and train more. And let's hope Rashford shows a lot more zeal, or otherwise, Amorim should have the tenacity to like just probably sell him, or when he starts performing good, get some high bid and just sell him off probably because he's a liability for the other performers on the pitch, like taking away one spot from probably a good performer. Sometimes feel the same about Garnacho as well, but then he's better than Rashford at least when it comes to delivering in games.
Wait for Rashford's contract to come near the terminal, like the close of the contract, and then he'll start performing.
Yeah,
That is the You should always give him 1 year contract. Always keep him on the. But
Probably
So-
you with Chelsea wouldn't agree with that, right? If Chelsea were to sign
we make him a lifetime contract.
Lifetime
Give him a
contract.
coaching role, ambassadorial role for the next 30 years. But yeah, we have to laugh at ourselves. But a couple of points on this subject. So I think it's very important to understand it's not just about Deadwood per se. You look at someone like a McTominay who's gone to Napoli. It depends on the manager and how he wants the team to play. And I think Amorim is a very shrewd tactical manager, and he wants to play a particular style of football. And whoever he brings into the team, I think they should be able to fit into that style. Because if you see Napoli right now under Conte, they are doing a fabulous job. And McTominay is actually their star player in that team. So it's amazing how the transformation has actually happened. The other thing, which is going to be a little more fun for everyone, considering the United versus Arsenal game yesterday, I'm going to ask the panel some questions. Anyone who knows the answer can unmute and share. And then let's see who gets closer. So there are 2-3 questions. Number one, Arteta has played a Man United team 10 times. What do you think his win percentage is?
70%.
Anyone else?
I know he has won 4 out of the last 4 league games against United.
Correct.
I think between 30 and 40%.
नहीं 4
Like,
games
he's
अभी
won
बोल
4
दिया
out of 4, so then 40%. Yeah.
probably I think 60% or something. Recent
Okay.
games he has been winning each and every game against Manu, but I don't remember
Okay.
about the previous seasons.
So Manan, you are saying कि पहले के 6 game he didn't win a single one.
I think, yeah, when we were under Solskjaer, we used to beat a lot of the big teams quite a bit. Like, we used to beat City also quite often at that time and lose against all the other teams.
50.
Rishabh?
I kind of have to go with Varun. I think the only game I think that Arteta has lost was that 3-1 game. I think the first or the second game at Old Trafford. But I think they kind of hit them on counter, where ironically Anthony scored his first goal. I remember that. So I think that was the game that he's lost, but I'll go with 70%. There were a couple of draws as well.
So Varun and Rishabh are on point. 70% is the win rate. He has actually managed to lose twice, so just a little off there. So 7 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. And what's more remarkable is he's the first manager to get 4 back-to-back wins against United ever. So that's amazing.
Not
Okay,
much of a
next
stat
question.
nowadays.
Next question. Since the start of last season, how many corners have Arsenal scored from?
Since the start of last season,
Since the start of last season,
I think
random guesses.
25,
between-
20 plus, I guess. I don't know, 25. You're not talking
25.
Premier League, right? You're talking all competitions or Premier League.
Premier League.
Premier League. Okay, fine.
Will
Premier
be, I
League,
think, 20 plus.
13 to
so
15.
13 to 15. Manan,
I think 20 plus still.
20 plus. Rishabh,
I'll go for an exact number, 35.
35.
No,
Right.
52. I would say like 20. No, 52 games, right? Since the start of last season. The strike rate cannot be 50%, man. That's like literally like too high. So 52, 26 तो नहीं हो सकता है. I mean, I would go with like something like 20, 20
your
or
ball,
18.
I think you
18.
increase the percentage because from the last season, if you look at it, I think they've
They've only
they've
scored
been
corners.
proficient in the current season in the current season. But last season also their goal scoring from corners or set pieces were pretty good. That's why I went with the 35 because they get at least a couple of corners and they convert 1 or 1.5 chance. So I think I'll go with 35.
Even last season,
Yeah. Think about it.
I would go with
Y'all
20.
have scored so many goals from set pieces. I can remember Tottenham, Aston Villa. I've remembered. I only can remember so many goals.
No, this is specifically from corners, not set pieces.
Corners. I'm specifically saying corners. Specifically saying corners.
I would go with
Okay.
21 or 22. 21.
Haru, you're
Around
bang
about
on
that.
again. It's 22.
वो 50% नहीं हो सकता है. 50% कैसे हो सकता है कॉर्नर से?
मतलब close to 50% तो हो ही गया ना यार. 26 और
हाँ.
22 में क्या ही फर्क है.
हाँ ठीक है.
The next question is, whom do you guys think has been most critical from set pieces? So let's say, which player has got the most assists from set pieces from the start of last season?
Saka, Declan
Saka.
Rice. One
Saka,
of the
Declan
two.
Rice.
Yeah.
Actually,
Saka,
both of them,
Saka.
7 each.
Saका, Declan Rice. ना एक साइड से साका लेता है,
Yeah.
दूसरा से Declan Rice लेता है.
I was going to say Declan Rice, but yeah, Saka as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy the kind of like I think we can all admit that Arsenal at set pieces are at a different level since last season. I think the change in the backroom staff has done a great job, and I think if any team wants to just disrupt their management, just go and buy that player or buy that staff,
Yes,
no matter how
set
much it
piece
costs.
coach.
Set piece
I
coach.
think I think Manu had done something. Right? I don't remember the recruitment, but I think we had signed some set piece or some coach
No,
from
we
Arsenal.
signed the set piece coach, but
Yeah, yeah.
he was like ex Arsenal.
Oh,
Like,
that's why.
yeah, something.
You
Like that.
do you have a stat of that corner thing as to how many corners out of that 22 were this season and then how many were last
नहीं
season?
नहीं नहीं
वो जो
unfortunately
4
no.
games कम हुए ना, like 4 goals कम हुए relative to the 50% of the games, वो Gabriel miss out किया.
No, I am asking because this season now, that ratio might be more than 50%. But last
Yeah,
season, I
possibly.
don't think we were scoring that many from the corners. Like, I
Yeah,
think
this
the
season
jump
has been
from last
crazy.
season to this season has been massive.
Hmm.
So, I think like out of those 22, 12 at least would be this season itself, I feel. And then last season, it would be like 10 or something. I don't know.
Rishi, can you take us through some of the other games that you watched? And you can go like in a faster pace,
Sure,
and you can
sure.
just
Yeah.
share key moments from the other games.
Sure. So like there are two sets of matches yesterday. Arsenal versus Manu and Aston Villa versus Brentford were like in the second half of the time, and some other games. So I did not see the City game. Probably Rishabh can throw some light on it. But I saw some of Everton versus Wolves because I had some interest in the Wolves assets I own. So we had seen Wolves to be like really high scoring in like the previous game weeks, except like the last one or two where we are seeing the old Wolves back again. The earlier half they were struggling again. So particularly like underperforming players were like almost the entire team, but there were a lot of expectations from Konan Stan Larsen being a good duet striker. So and Everton, right? Sean Dyche back to his defensive gameplay, keeping a clean sheet, and that too scoring 4 goals after conceding 4 goals from Manu just a few days back. Like that's like a crazy transformation. So overall, Everton played really good, and like Braithwaite playing in defense makes the team play like entirely different. Then the other game which I saw was Chelsea versus Southampton. Now this and Liverpool versus Newcastle. These two were the games which I was watching on two devices continuously, again out of interest and also for FPL. So mostly what I saw in Chelsea versus Southampton, right? First of all, the entire team roster change, like it left me baffled, and a lot of other FPL managers also baffled. The keeper being changed and Jackson not starting. I took a -4 to get him this week, and him being on 4 yellow cards, I thought that this is probably the only game I want him to be there for sure. So the team change and all was good, and like Chelsea were playing really good overall. First goal was good. Southampton's goal was also really good, especially that almost 360 kind of a turn. It was. What's the number two? Was it Kyle Walker Peters or who was the number two there? I don't know. I don't remember the name. But then like it was a really good turn to provide that assist. And I didn't. I knew for sure that Chelsea are gonna bash them up, and then that red card happened, and then the rest is history. Chelsea were just scoring for fun. A really entertaining game in the second half was Newcastle versus Liverpool. Earlier half when I was watching, I was feeling a bit bored. Yeah, sure, there was rotation from Liverpool side as well, especially with Kwanzaa playing in. We have seen how like susceptible he has been in the defense when it comes to being pressed by people while taking headers and all and everything. But Slot, being a good tactician, he played him at right back this time. And later he was replaced by Trent Alexander-Arnold for those two great assists and Salah combo, of course. But Kwanzaa was overall good. He did not play that bad. Gomez has been a really good deputy in the absence of Konate, and like we can see that Kwanzaa is almost the third string when it comes to the people playing in place of the main starting defenders. So overall, I would like to say that Isaac is like a really, really great striker. If we see like the kind of body physique that he possesses and how most people, they need a tall, very strength kind of striker to be able to collect balls, to be able to just push back defenders, someone like Erling Haaland or something of sorts. But I would say that probably one of the most technically gifted strikers in the Premier League is Isaac. It has been like crazy, crazy recruitment from Newcastle side, especially the first goal, right? If you would have seen the way he turns defenders, that too from Liverpool, that too in the slot like that, Van Dijk and who whatnot, right? He's like really crazy. He's someone who can perform in big games. Unfortunately, gets injured and like does sometimes lacks match fitness. But whenever he's playing, he's like one of the best strikers for most teams to have, right? That and then like Gordon also played good and took his goal well. And I had switched to the other game. I did not see Curtis Jones' goal. I'm guessing even that might be good. I misread it as a red card, so I was a bit surprised that on the app maybe I got confused between Southampton and this thing, but it was actually Curtis Jones scoring the goal. So I was happy. But then when Salah scored the equalizer, right at that time I was like, oh my god, wow! I mean, this is the era, like this is the season where like football fans die for comebacks. It's almost practically impossible playing a away game like that, and uh, losing 2-1, and then your main player in the team, whom the guy should provide a contract, of course, has been scoring the equalizer, right? And Trent Alexander-Arnold just coming in and supplying that assist, and Salah just taking it clinically. After that, I thought that okay, probably this game is over, done and dusted. Newcastle won't be able to do anything, and Liverpool also might not be able to do anything. But the second goal from Salah just stunned me, and like the you can say it's like one of those clean FIFA goals, right? Where you're not expecting the right back just comes in, gives that cutback pass, and you score the goal. And I switched off the match after that. I started watching Aston Villa versus Brentford a bit, but then I saw I saw them conceding another goal. I don't. If I'm not wrong, was it a free kick by Shah? Right? I don't remember it exactly.
Yeah, sure. Correct.
Yeah. So like Shah is like crazy. Some of the free kicks. I think last season we had seen one of them against Man City. I don't remember. No, probably not against Man City, but yeah, he's a good free kick taker. So that's about that match. And yeah, I think that should we have covered Arsenal versus Man U. With Aston Villa, like Watkins was on a really good form. Like he was taking his man well, attacking quite good. Rogers has been exceptional overall, but like now Emery has been saying that he'll be playing Bunaida in his place to provide him some rest from the fatigue. And probably a Man City versus Forest game, Rishabh can probably give us some insights.
Just before that, Rishabh, I'll just weigh in on a couple of points. So one, that 360 was indeed Kyle Walker-Peters, and it was like a bad mistake from Enzo. But again, just on the subject of that game, based on Opta stats, what do you think Chelsea's XG was for that game? And this was the highest XG since Opta has come into being.
Was it 7 by any chance?
7.2.
No, lower, much lower, comparatively lower.
Oh, 5.4. I don't know.
5.83
Oh wow, that's a big number. You're
Yeah.
talking about XG, right?
XG. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's insane.
So
And
they had
how-
like 25 plus shots or something, I guess.
It was
To have
crazy.
that XG.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When-
And
you can do anything when you have a big squad, can you? You can pretty well rotate your 11 and then you can say I have 5.83 XG.
Yeah. That, and also we should also account the fact that it's Southampton and they had a player red carded, right? But yeah,
they had a player red carded, and it was like a very stupid red card, right? Like literally, Cucurella's hair is just in his hand, and Cucurella drops, and that's about it.
That,
Smart
we
play
all-
from him, but yeah.
we always joke about this, by the way, like Cucurella and his majestic hair, right? Sometimes we used to say the same thing about Fellaini back then in Manu, because in that we used to say that it's actually a tactic, to throw your defender's hair into the face of the players, and anyone is bound to get irritated. At least with Fellaini, that was definitely the case, and we tend to like make this joke when it comes to Cucurella also.
And
I
on
think
the subject of the
every
Yeah, please
team
go
has such a player, right? Or has had such a player. I remember Arsenal had this player called Gundozi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even he
Matteo
had this
Gundozi.
similar hairstyle, man.
E- even Chelsea and Arsenal had David Luiz,
David
right?
Luiz.
David
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luiz, yeah. Oh my god.
No, no, I was saying that did any one of you had Cole Palmer as the captain because him just scoring that
Yeah.
lucky tap in from Nkunku probably. Yeah,
I
Nkunku played really good. Yeah.
I haven't changed my team since like I think 2 months now. Cole Palmer is the captain. That's it.
I haven't
I
changed my
literally
team since game week
I
one.
literally played the weekend with 7 players.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And on the other end of the spectrum, I actually saw the Isaac goal. It was amazing. And what you
Yeah.
said was absolutely correct. Like Van Dijk, he did not even expect a shot. Very rarely you see him giving a forward that much of space. And their second keeper, Kelleher, he's actually better than most first choice keepers. He couldn't get in the way. It was just that powerful. It was like a rocket. It whizzed past and it was amazing.
By the way, on that match, the match was so end to end, the Newcastle Liverpool match, right? I think like if you just have a look at the match, like it could have been 5-all. Like that was the kind of chances like these teams were having. I think each team hit the post once, and like like they missed like crazy chances. I don't know what was happening, man. Like it was so end to end. It was so open, but a good
Yeah.
watch. I feel like yeah,
Yeah.
great watch.
Like I saw the extended highlights, and from that it seemed that Newcastle might
Yeah,
have just shaded it a bit. Like
yeah,
they missed a few like one-on-one chances
yeah.
after like pressing Gomez and like trying to create those. Like Murphy also missed two big chances.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for the first time it seemed like Liverpool were there for the team. They've been so good and so compact until now. But yeah, this game, maybe this is a way of tackling them.
Also, the save from Kelleher was really good on Gordon. One of those saves, we have seen Ederson or like some keepers do that, like come out almost towards the line and like use their body to defend. And Kelleher has been like really outstanding when it comes to those saves. So I was actually very surprised to see Gordon miss that, but then again, it was him against Kelleher. So yeah, probably Liverpool wasn't as compact as they have been in the last few games. Obviously, because Konate was one of the main men, and even Connor Bradley was good substitute for Alexander Arnold. But yeah, we see those vulnerabilities being exposed with Kwanzaa being there. So it wasn't as compact. So Virgin van Dijk couldn't do much, but yeah, he could have done something against the Alexander Isak goal, but then he couldn't because it was a rocket, like you said.
Let's
Okay,
go to the Man
guys.
City game and then Rishabh
Yes.
weigh in on what City did
No,
in that game and the run of
yeah.
City
Yeah,
before
so
that.
I think coming back to the game week 14, I think two results, in fact, three. I think I'll put three. I think one is Everton 4, Wolves nil. I think two managers who are under pressure. And I think you back Sean Dyche any day of the week to get a result when he's under pressure. That's something that he's got. And I think now that puts Wolves under a lot of pressure. But I think Everton will be safe, and now Wolves are in danger. Second, City versus Nottingham Forest. Good to see De Bruyne back for 75 minutes. I think after a good seven game winless streak, where we've been dragged from pillar to post. Um, I think it's a good start. I didn't expect to be that easy because we've looked at the Feyenoord game. There were chances after the 75th minute. I did see the extended highlights. It is actually very tough. And so good to see him back. The team's gotten a little bit of confidence, but we've lost Akanji and Ake again. So now the whole pressure of having a smaller squad is now coming back to bite us in the back again. So let's see how Pep manages that. And the third game, which I think everyone's covered, is Newcastle 3, Liverpool 3. I think, like Varun rightly said, it was a very open game. Extended highlights, had watched the extended highlights, and Murphy got three chances: one post, one near miss, and one he could have lobbed it easily to the goal, but he missed it again. But I think now, if there was any chance of if there was a time to offer Salah a contract, was after this game. You got to give him the money and probably give it. Even if he's asking for 2 years, just give him off, because if he leaves, it's going to be a massive mistake from Liverpool, and it'll be very difficult for them to replace Salah, because I mean you can't rely on Nunes or Diaz or Gakpo for that matter. So I think they'll have to kind of tie up Salah. And the other game that was noticeable is Chelsea again. Good good rotation. 5 goals, 3 points, second in the table. So that's so if you get any of the results against any of these top four teams, I think you could be in a title race. Too soon to speak, but could be in a title race. Let's not get Yuvraj's hopes ahead, but let's keep it under this table. But yeah, I think it's a good. I think from where they were last season, I think it's a massive comeback.
Definitely a massive comeback, but absolutely no title hopes. I think if we manage to finish top four, it'll be a very big thing this season, but I don't see that happening either right now.
I think top four. I don't know about the other panelists, but I think top four is a very realistic chance now.
Yeah, I think Chelsea should come top
Yeah.
four.
So the reason I say this is because Maresca, even last year at Leicester, when he was managing in the championship, he was almost, I think, 15, 16 points clear of second place by Jan. And then the team kind of hit a wall. And from Feb and March, they actually became second. And then finally they had a run wherein they kind of clawed their way forward. So Maresca teams usually have that, at least last season ke basis pe, I have some context to go on right now, so not getting too excited.
But in
But
his
he didn't
defense,
have two squads to choose.
yeah,
from.
I was
Last
just going
season.
there. I was just going. In his defense, he doesn't have two playing 11s for the whole season. That's the only thing. He had injuries this last season, but I think he'll get you a top four and a European Cup. I think that's where you guys are going.
Oh, that'll be amazing if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't win the Conference League, there's like
Yeah.
something wrong, I guess. But
Yeah, because I think there though he's kind of set Cole Palmer, Caicedo, like you just chill, you just focus on the Premier League.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, they're not even in the squad if I'm not wrong. Cole
Yeah,
Palmer,
they've not registered them for the squad. Yeah.
But for the first part of the season, the league
Oh.
side,
The
after
league
the league
stage.
side, they can
Yeah,
they can
yeah.
again register them.
I mean,
Yeah.
you still won't need him. You still
Yeah.
won't need him.
At the
Honestly.
rate at which Conference League is going, I'm thinking that Nkunku might score like 5 goals in the final and do that
Yeah.
celebration with the ball in his stomach. And
Wese, you can add or like replace in total only 3 players in the squad, even after January, like after the second
Oh.
registration. So it cannot be like if 5 or 6 good players
Unlimited.
are sitting out. Yeah,
interesting.
of course, Cole Palmer would be one of the three, but
Yeah.
Just happy to be in the better scheme of things so far. But yeah, nothing being taken for granted. It can fall off very easily. I was giving these guys an example of Nottingham Forest, wherein there was a meme wherein there was an elephant on top of a tree, and it read that we don't know how it got there, but we know it's going to fall down soon. So yeah, anything can happen.
So just on the Man City's game, right, against Nottingham Forest, I think Man City scored the first goal, and after that, Nottingham Forest actually had two really, really, really good chances. Morgan Gibbs-White had an amazing chance where the keeper Ortega made a great save, and then I think it was Wood who was one-on-one with the keeper after that, right? So I think some
it's
of these things are like it's imagine
all-
like any other day these goals would have gone in and again City would have been kind of under pressure.
Yeah.
So
if you think about it, if it was last season, Rodri would have just stood there and could have cleared that up. He's not there, and that's the worrisome part. Like everybody's running off now. Everyone is running off away from the defense, and it's a maddening situation right now. So that is why I said I don't know how we won 3-0. It felt like a 5-0 game, but good to see 3-0 scoreline without any goals conceding and a clean sheet.
and I'm
yeah,
glad
I mean, you'll always get chances against City, against this City, right? With their high line and no one to sort of like intercept the counter or break the counter. You'll always get chances, and when you get them, you need to score. You have to be clinical against them.
Yeah, I think our midfield is not there anymore. I think you look at the age bracket. If you look at the midfield, the players and their age: Gundogan 34, Bernardo 30, Kovacic 30. Nunes plays is technically a midfielder but plays on the left. So there's hardly any legs. And the way, and I'll go back to the Liverpool game, the way Gravenberg, McAllister, and Szoboszlai just played around those
Yeah.
three, it's very difficult for us to handhold, like just cannot play with those three in the middle. And that is where the last 2 seasons the recruitment that needed to be done, I mean, Calvin Phillips was kind of a protective signing for Rodri, didn't work out well, but we need good quality midfielders now, because De Bruyne is 33, injury prone, and there's no legs, absolutely no legs, and that's where a player like Alvarez, like we said at the earlier of the podcast, Alvarez would have been a huge help, because he comes back, he drops in, he gives those passes. So this January will be very interesting to see what does Pep does, because he signed a 2-year contract. He needs to rebuild the squad. He needs to understand that there is going to be a CDM needs to come. A CDM genuinely needs to come, and maybe a creative one also needs to turn up, because for the second part of the season, that's where we click. That is where the majorly we take our comebacks, or the Champions League where we go deep in the competition. That is where we will need them. So hoping that in January we will have a couple of signings and good ones. Let's see and hope for the best.
Also, I'm
I
sure.
Rishabh,
think
what was
Pep
your
always
reaction? Sorry, Rishabh, what was your reaction on Pep's gesture?
Yeah, I think it's gotten to him. I think when you have uh, first of all, he respects Liverpool a lot from his club days. I think that's important. Let's put that into perspective. That if there was ever, I think the club crowd just gets onto any manager. But the fact that Klopp, the crowd at Anfield doesn't get to Pep. So the fact that he had to show those six fingers, it means he felt a little bit of pressure. And you look at the start of that game, for the first 15 minutes, we could have been 4-0 down easily. A post, a header, another tap in missed, and then the goal went. So 15 minutes 4-0. So he's understood that maybe he's made a mistake by not recruiting the right players. Getting Gundogan back was nice, but after what happened to Rodri, I think he could have gotten a CDM. So the pressure is onto him now. As they say, is that he has the answers to everything. I'm hoping for answers from him this time, but I think the pressure is definitely on this season. And this game, the Liverpool Newcastle game, Liverpool getting a draw, kind of gets them back just a little, not too much, but just gets them back into an outside chance for a title, because it's still 8 points, still 8 or 9 points, but still a couple of we beat them, it'll be six, and then a couple of other teams beat them or draws, they are capable of dropping points. So just gives them the outside chance, but we need the reinforcements in the January transfer window.
I think Pep always planned to leave at the end of his contract, and maybe he missed a trick by sort of not refreshing the squad in the past couple of seasons, where he felt that okay, that's something that will be taken care of after I leave. I just need to sort of make these 2 or 3, like 2 seasons work, and make it as successful as possible for the club, like more of a win now kind of a philosophy. And I think like the fact that the sporting director left, and that they had this run of bad results, has resulted in him staying. Else, I don't think he would have continued.
No, I think there are two things to this. I think one is Liverpool coming back to the perch. I think his thing is he wanted to leave on a winning note. I think he would have, if he would have gotten a start of about 30 points from 12 games, no, I am 100% sure he wouldn't have signed this contract. Now the fact that he's gone through this 6 games winless run, plus Liverpool doing so well, makes his desire a bit more to leave the contract on a high. Second, yes, Bigristan leaving at this time makes a lot of difference, but I think the management also said that look, we're getting the sporting director from Sporting, Hugo Vienna. I think he's pretty good in terms of scouting. So I think couple of years to give him a good transition into this role, and then once he gets the idea of how this club runs and how do we scout players and how do we get those players in, that is when he leaves. So and if you look at the reconstruction of the teams wherever he's managed, like Barcelona, he had Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets at the age of 18, 19. So he technically managed for 4-5 years, and then they were at 24, 25, they were at the peak, so they didn't need to do anything. With Bayern also pretty much the same thing. I think they had players who were about 24, 25, 3 years managed, 27, 28 at their peak. This is the longest that he's managed in his managerial career, 10 years. So I think he's never had that experience of reconstructing a new team. So this is going to be another big challenge for him. How do you reconstruct? Because he's gotten the players he's wanted every time, but for reconstruction it takes a little bit of time. So That is why he signed a 2-year deal. Maybe 1 year he'll get some players, offload the remaining ones, and then the next year in the next transfer window or in the January one, he'll get another player. So the team's ready by the time he leaves.
I think one of the main reasons why I agreed for the contract is because I'm sure the owners would have like promised him a high budget for the January signings. Like
I,
that is.
I think it still depends on the case hearing. I still depend. It all depends on the case hearing. I also have this notion that I think we've gone into the transfer market to get some players, but all of these players have this year. No, key. What's going to happen with these charges? Like 115 charges. Are they going to? Is this going to relegate us, or is this just going to be a penalty again, or with some points deduction? If it's a point deduction, I think that'll be fine. But I think in the larger scheme of things, there has been a notion that there could be a demotion, but there's no clarity as of now. So we players also will not turn up unless and until there's an absolute clarity on those charges. And if the sooner the better, but we've not gotten any clarity. And now that there's another rumor that this is going to end, this is the result is going to come at the end of the season. So the result that was going to come in January, now it's going to come in May. So another 6 months. So for him to reconstruct the team, it's also very difficult now because money is not going to be available. That is why they didn't spend the 80 million that they got for Julian Alvarez. So again, it's a wait and watch game. Let's see how the case pans out, and then once the case pans out, that's where we will take it from there.
Okay, guys. So I have just a couple of fun questions for everyone, and then we wrap up. So one is a guess who kind of a trivia. I'm gonna give clues. You guys can interject whenever you like. The first clue is I am a Premier League footballer presently, and I'm the son of a famous former footballer.
Liam Delap.
No,
Haaland.
no.
This is too broad a clue, Yuvi.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
too broad a clue. Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Okay. My father played as a striker for FC Barcelona and Newcastle.
Clivert's son.
Clivert, yeah.
Patrick, Justin Kluivert.
Justin
Justin Clive.
Justin Kluivert.
And okay, the thing that he is now, okay, which feat has Justin Kluivert achieved which no other Premier League footballer has achieved ever?
And this weekend only 3 penalties, hat-trick, 3 penalties. Yeah.
A hat-trick of penalties, never been done before.
Yeah. No one's done it.
Okay, no
No one's
one's
in it because no one got it.
Yeah, fair. No one got it, yeah.
Okay, the next one, which two Premier League footballers have had the maximum number of goals and assists in the maximum number of games? So it means that एक गेम में मैंने गोल किया, असिस्ट किया है, and ऐसे consecutively मैंने कितने बार किया है?
Both goal and assist in one game.
Current
Both.
season?
Yeah. So no. So it's no. So these are like, let's say again, maybe I'm not explaining the question correctly. So as a footballer, in the same game, I'm getting a goal and an assist.
How many times have
in
you
my
done it?
entire career, how many times I've done it?
So one is Salah.
So-
I think it's 11 times. 11 times, I think. One is Salah.
Much higher. The one of the answers is right, but the number is much higher. The number is like 36 times.
Okay, so
Oh,
Salah
What
is
about
20.
Rooney?
Rooney, yeah.
Rooney is the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rooney, yeah.
And the last question is actually very difficult. So, only 2 professional footballers have been the leading goal scorers at 2 different Premier League clubs. One of them was Alan Shearer, Newcastle United and Blackburn. Who is the other one?
Is it Carlos Tevez?
No. So this is like the all-time leading scorer, not just in a season. All-time leading scorer for that
Oh,
club.
all time.
You mean all-time leaders?
All time.
Shearer was for Newcastle and which other one?
Blackburn.
Blackburn.
Blackburn. Acha.
They won the title that season. right?
So
Kenny
top
Dalglish.
scorer, but for 2 different clubs. Like one season he's
All-time leading scorer.
Is Wayne
for 2
Rooney?
Premier League clubs.
No,
I don't know
it's
how
not
much he
Rooney.
scored for Everton.
Rooney खेला ही कहाँ Everton?
Hardly played for Everton.
Oh.
Yeah.
नहीं, I know this. Wait, ध्यान करने दो.
Yeah, Manan is
Is
good
it
at
Cole? Is it Cole by any chance?
Andy Cole.
Huh.
No, because Shearer is the highest.
Newcastle हो गया,
Newcastle.
right?
Goal नहीं हो सकता ना.
Yeah, Cole can't be there.
हाँ.
Not Michael Owen also, for sure.
यूनाइटेड के लिए एक ही गोल मारा है वो बस सिटी के सामने.
भाई वो एक ही गोल काफी था. एक ही गोल.
हाँ, of course.
Five for game. Yeah. And definitely not Fernando Torres also. So
नहीं.
हाँ, sure.
अरे नहीं, वो कोई ऐसे छोटे टीम का है यार.
छोटे टीम का ही होएगा यार.
मिड टेबल टीम का है वो. मेरे को याद ही नहीं आ रहा. Shit.
Is it Collymore
Like
by
some
any
clues?
chance?
No.
Stanley Collymore, no?
Any clues required?
yeah.
Give us one more clue, yeah.
I'll give you an easy one. I think you should be able to guess it. I am a New Zealand international.
Chris
Chris
Wood.
Wood.
This word. The clubs in question are Burnley and Nottingham
Burnley
Forest.
and Nottingham Forest.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
stakes are already low when you say Burnley scoring goals.
Good one, you.
Cool, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and do let us know what you thought about the games in this game week. And we will see you next time. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone.